All right, good evening, everyone. I'll note for the record the time is 6:33 p.m. On behalf of Jersey Central Power and Light, a First Energy company, I'd like to welcome everyone tonight to this scoping hearing. My name is Melissa Clark. I'm an attorney at Saul Ewing representing JCP&L. A record of this hearing is being prepared for submission to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Green Acres program. Sign-in sheets are available if you want your attendance to be part of the record. The sign-in sheet is over on the table. If you want to comment on the proposed diversion, we ask that you please check the box on the sign-in sheet so that we can, at the conclusion of the presentation, call folks forward to deliver your comments or questions. This will ensure that each individual's comments are recorded accurately, and each speaker will have the opportunity to comment once for a period not to exceed 5 minutes. Pursuant to section 7:36-26A of the Green Acres regulations, this scoping hearing is being held prior to the submission of a pre-application to Green Acres for a major diversion of parkland. The diversion consists of approximately 0.046 acres, that's 4.6 hundredths, of parkland situated within Block 76, Lot 1 on the tax map of the Township of Ocean, Monmouth County. The diversion is related to JCP&L's relocation of a utility pole and associated structures. More specifically, for the benefit of the record, we're starting a PowerPoint presentation. The proposed relocation of Structure 189 is due to the anticipated Corley's Avenue Bridge expansion project by Monmouth County. Yeah, if you could hold your comments to the end, I appreciate that. I will. So the orientation here is we see South Edgemere and Corley's Avenue. So north is up, south is down, east is to the right, and west is to the left. If you look closely, you can see existing Structure 189 to be removed. That is currently in the Monmouth County right-of-way. You can also see Structure 189 in its new location. So the Green Acres diversion is required for a new permanent easement across Block 76, Lot 1, specifically for the installation of a steel monopole on foundation referred to as Structure 189, and for the aerial clearance required from the trees for the wires or conductors crossing Deal Lake. So here's another view. Same orientation, north is up, east is to the right. As noted previously, the relocation of existing Structure 189 from Monmouth County's right-of-way will occur within a portion of Block 76, Lot 1. So you can see the entirety of the lot and then the section that where the permanent easement would be requested. That is 0.046 acres or approximately 1,993 square feet. So project benefits. A replacement utility pole that is necessary to upgrade and strengthen the area to provide enhanced reliability to meet the existing and future needs of customers and communities. The replacement pole will have a natina finish to blend into the natural environment, a brown natina finish. The new steel pole will increase line resiliency, replacing aging equipment to harden JCP&L's infrastructure, reduce outages, and cut maintenance costs, enhancing performance by building a smarter, more secure system. Greater longevity of new structure and addition of shield wire to reduce risk of outages due to lightning strikes. Now to the good stuff, the alternatives analysis. So directing your attention to the mapping on the screen, the white line represents the proposed overhead transmission route. We have gone through or evaluated 3 alternative transmission routes. The first is alternative A. This is the underground option. Routing the transmission and distribution circuits underground was an option that was evaluated for technical feasibility. The potential underground route that was found to be most technically feasible is shown on the screen. This is depicted as the aqua blue line. The primary obstacles associated with the underground option are, first, selecting a suitable place to transition the existing above grade line to underground by means of a riser. And second, crossing both Deal Lake and the New Jersey Transit tracks on the east side of the lake. It is. I'll get there, but yes. Sure. You're welcome to come closer as well. So, we're currently talking about, so here's the Allenhurst substation, right? Existing in Allenhurst. This blue line, and this is not what we're proposing tonight. This is alternatives we considered. This aqua blue line goes up, and yes, actually, this is, I believe that's Palmer. This is Myrtle. This is Corley's. Okay. So, and then it would head out that way into Interlaken.
Alternative 2. That's Allenhurst.
You're on alternative A, underground option, and again, this is not what we're considering, but it is an option that was considered.
Okay. So you're deciding on the blue one?
No.
No.
The white.
White one. Oh, underneath the bridge. Okay.
Well, it's overhead transmission lines we're
Oh, so
talking
it's
about.
over the bridge.
And where would the pole be?
So the pole is currently here and is moving over about 10 feet to here.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Madam Court Reporter, could you, are you able to tell me where I left off? Oh, I'm sorry. Don't worry about it. It's, you want to just resume? Don't worry about it. Okay. So as I was saying, the 2 primary obstacles are first finding a suitable place to transition existing above grade line to underground by means of a riser, and secondarily crossing both Deal Lake and the New Jersey Transit tracks on the east side of the lake, since we just established the Allenhurst substation is east of Deal Lake. To transfer the overhead transmission and distribution lines underground, a riser structure would be necessary. This riser structure would need to be a large steel pole supported by a concrete foundation to adequately support the overhead wires that will only be on one side of the structure. On the currently proposed overhead route, again the white line, the transmission center line travels along Corley's Avenue for its entire length within the Township of Ocean. Finding a suitable location for the riser along this path is difficult, and impacts to property owners along the route were taken into consideration. Ultimately, the riser pole was determined to be most feasible at the corner of Wickapeco Drive and Darlene Avenue in the borough of Interlaken. From the riser at Wickapeco and Darlene Ave, the underground route would use open trench construction methods along Corley's Avenue. To accomplish the lake and rail crossing, however, horizontal directional drilling, or HDD, would be employed to bore a tunnel under both obstacles, meaning the lake and the rail lines. A constraint that comes with HDD, however, is the size of the footprint needed on both the entry and exit points. Because of the congestion at the intersection of Corley's Avenue and Edgemere Drive, the area best suited for an HDD entry point is 1 block north at the intersection of Myrtle Avenue and North Edgemere Drive. The trench construction would then make a turn to the north at Staffa Street, immediately followed by a turn to the east to travel along Myrtle Avenue. The underground option would come with significant impacts to the project, as well as the impacted landowners of the Township of Ocean. It is anticipated that to complete the work for the underground option, construction would last at least 1 continuous calendar year, most of which would cause heavy traffic restrictions along Corley's Avenue, Staffa Street, Myrtle Avenue, and North Edgemere Drive. All necessary precautions as well as best utility practices would be utilized to perform the HDD under Deal Lake and the New Jersey Transit tracks. This method of construction comes with risks that are not present with overhead construction. For instance, inadvertent return, also known as frack out, can occur if the soil above the drill isn't strong enough to withstand the pressure of the drilling fluids, resulting in fluid escaping to the surface through cracks or voids. Since a majority of the HDD path would be under Deal Lake, there would always be the inherent risk of frack out into Deal Lake that would be difficult, if not impossible, to identify. The HDD entry pit at the intersection of Myrtle Avenue and North Edgemere Drive would also require a Green Acres diversion, larger in area than the diversion currently sought by tonight's meeting. The second alternative that was considered is the bridge option, alternative B. To avoid a structure on the corner of Corley's Avenue and South Edgemere Drive, an alternative was considered utilizing under-bridge attachments and below-grade transmission construction methodology, where hardware would be supported by the bridge deck and supports. This proposal is depicted by the yellow line. This alternative B has several constraints that make it less practical than the proposed overhead route. The Monmouth County Corley's Avenue Bridge Rehabilitation Project, which again necessitated the relocation of Structure 189 and this diversion of Green Acres Parkland, will occur after this portion of the line rebuild is complete. If underground conduit and power lines are installed and supported by the current Corley's Bridge using this alternative B, there would still be significant impacts to residents. Those who are powered from this line when bridge construction commences would likely face temporary service outages as the bridge crews safely remove and temporarily support the power lines until the new bridge is constructed. The bridge option also faces the same hurdle as the underground option regarding the placement of a riser structure. As described a moment ago, a riser would need to be placed in Interlaken. Trench construction would still need to occur along Corley's Avenue, posing the same obstacles and impacts as the underground option. The construction time frame would also be similar, with impacts to roads and ratepayers for at least 1 continuous calendar year. A Green Acres diversion would likely still be necessary, as the trench would transition to under-bridge construction in the same parcel on the southeast side of the intersection of Corley's and South Edgemere Drive. That is Block 76, Lot 1. Trench construction would require a larger work area in this parcel, causing a greater impact than the currently proposed overhead route, meaning the diversion area would be larger. So finally, we have alternative C, and that's the northern reroute option. This option was considered where the overhead transmission route was modified to cross Deal Lake 1 or 2 blocks north of the current crossing location, either at the intersection of North Edgemere Drive and Myrtle Avenue, or at North Edgemere Drive and Palmer Avenue. These are the orange and green lines, respectively. As compared to alternatives A and B, this proposed alternative C is more feasible from a technical perspective and has fewer potential impacts. Alternative C would utilize similar construction methods to what is currently installed along Corley's Avenue, consisting of single poles carrying an average of 12 wires, 2 34.5 kV circuits, 2 12.5 kV circuits, and various joint use utility attachments. Most structures would be unguyed, direct embed wood poles. However, as the center line makes the two 90-degree bends to branch off of Corley's Avenue and turn down either Myrtle or Palmer Avenue, guyed wood structures would be necessary with the possibility of needing steel poles on concrete foundations. So this slide depicts the alternatives overhead only. The purple is the proposed Corley's overhead route, and we have again the two northern routes depicted in orange and green. As compared to alternatives A and B, again, A is the underground, B is the bridge, alternative C being the northern route. Alternative C represents the least impact to landowners, but it shifts the burden from residents on Corley's Avenue and South Edgemere to the residents of either Myrtle Avenue or Palmer Avenue. Alternative C is the least impactful of the three alternatives we've provided in terms of construction window at approximately 2 months of above grade work with traffic disruptions as needed for safe work practices. All of that said, the northern overhead route would be longer overall, contributing to longer construction windows, and alternative C would still require a Green Acres diversion, again, the purpose of why we're here tonight, as instead of encumbering block 76 lot 1, the northern route would instead impact block 59 lot 26. So there's Green Acres on both the southern side and the northern side of the Corley's Avenue Bridge. So in conclusion, no benefit over the proposed Corley's Avenue overhead route was identified. So proposed construction activities. This is all based on current best available information, but the potential impacts to roads, particularly South Edgemere and Corley's, associated with pouring the foundation and setting the pole. We would anticipate at present a single lane closure of South Edgemere during both the construction of the foundation and setting of the pole. With respect to the duration of the foundation installation and pole setting, the best estimate is approximately 1 week for foundation construction and approximately 2 weeks for the pole setting and overhead work. With respect to safety considerations, JCP&L would obtain or submit NJDOT daily lane and shoulder closure request form, and any additional permitting would be submitted and obtained as required by the municipality or other agencies. And with respect to trees, some trees will be removed and mitigation will be provided. So this slide shows a proposed rendering. Note the pole on the left is the current structure 189. That is the pole to be removed, and the new structure 189 is on the right.
Height difference? Because it's hard to tell. I'm sorry. Height difference between the poles, it's just hard to tell from that.
I don't know that offhand at the moment. I'll check my notes.
What about the diameter of the pole?
Can we hold the questions to the end? I apologize. It's just we have to create a record. And so the point is we really want to have the court reporter take down everybody's comments. So the Green Acres process, we started back in May of 2025 with a pre-application meeting with the Township of Ocean and the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Green Acres program. We are now here tonight for the scoping hearing, which is sort of step one in this process. And the public comment period remains open for the next 14 days until December 30th, 2025. So if you don't feel like making a comment tonight, or if there's a particular comment or question that arises after tonight, you can submit written comments as in the public notices you received or the public notices that are on the front table, again, by December 30th. So the next step would be to finalize the package. It will get approval by the township. Then it would be submitted as the pre-application and final application part 1, which would include a copy of the transcript from tonight, as well as any written comments and a variety of other application materials. That would be submitted to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Green Acres Division. And at a meeting, if approved, the next step would be to hold a second public hearing. You would then have the benefit of all the written application materials in advance of that public hearing. And then, again, if approved after that, the next step would be to go to the State House Commission. But all of those dates are uncertain because they all depend on the next set of approvals. So I'd like to thank you all for your attention and your good questions so far. I'd like to call you up one by one to pose your questions based on those of you that signed up. Let's see the list. So, Michelle Shane. Okay.
My major concern was how is this going to impact our new bridge? We've been waiting for the new bridge going over Eel Lake since the Christie administration, and it's dangerous, it's narrow, and is this going to impact that? Is it going to push back the construction of the bridge?
It should not. Candidly, I don't know Monmouth County's timing, but my understanding is they're in the neighborhood of years based on their own permitting requirements. So we are moving the pole at Monmouth County's request. The pole needs to be moved for the bridge widening project.
And next, how many trees are going to be removed? Because we've lost so many trees around this area with all the new building already, and it's a shame around Eel Lake to see more trees go down.
Yeah, I believe based on the tree survey, it's 6 trees, all of which will be mitigated for and replaced in accordance with regulations in the same watershed, in the Deal Lake watershed. Okay. William Watts. Okay. Maggie Boyce. Okay. Roger Boyce.
Is land being taken away from Green Acres, is there land going to be to replace that? Take it away?
So, JCP&L and the Township haven't finalized the compensation plan for the Green Acres diversion of parkland. The intent is to replace with comparable parkland at a 4-to-1 ratio. So 0.046 acres times 4 is roughly a quarter acre of replacement parklands. The alternative, if we can't find suitable parkland, is a monetary a 10-to-1 ratio of the value of this parkland. You're welcome. Patty Cronheim.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I have a few questions. First of all, one of them just on the last slide with the different hearings that will follow.
Mhm.
Will those be hearings held in Ocean Township? Are those going to be hearings held in Trenton, or where are those hearings held?
You heard her, right? Okay.
Where will the subsequent hearings be held? Are they Ocean Township hearings, Allenhurst hearings, Trenton? Where will they be held?
With respect to this Green Acres diversion and the relocation of Structure 189, there will be a public hearing probably in late spring here again in the Township of Ocean. I don't know if I don't believe that the Green Acres meeting to review applications is public, but I'm not sure of that, and you could reach out to the county steward. Her information is also on the public notice, Jessica Patterson. And then with respect to the very final, after the application has been given the blessing of Green Acres, it goes to the State House Commission. That the public can attend, and the last time I attended one, it was virtual. So hopefully it will be again.
And I just have some basic questions here. The number of poles that are going in across the bridge and along Portland, how will the poles go from the Allenhurst side to the other side of the bridge on South Edgemere? Is that one pole on each side? Is there a pole that would be on the bridge? Where do they physically go? Are they physically going?
Annette, do you want to weigh in on this?
So there's,
And please make sure the court reporter can hear you. I'm sorry.
So the pole 189 is in Ocean Township, and then there's a pole on the other side on Lake Drive, 188. And then that's where it connects, so in one
So the wires will span.
span,
Will
and it's
span
actually,
over.
see how it's white?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not, Monmouth County said, stay away from our bridge or replacement so we can do our work. And they gave us a no-bill zone, so that's why we're moving into this property, and so it's one span across, and it'll have a tie-ins, across that.
It's hard to,
I'm sorry.
it's okay.
I can hear you if you
There'll
face
be a
it.
tie-in license required for this thing.
So it's 0.046 acres that's being, and that's how many square feet?
1,993 square feet.
Okay, so do you know what the actual footage, what by what in that area is gonna be? Like going from South Edgemere to the lake versus Corley's, down South Edgemere, like what's the,
Yeah.
10 by 100 is it,
One of my many maps has that information, so I'm checking. Yeah.
I mean, that just gives us a better idea of what it is. And do you have an exact count of the trees? I'm also on the Shade Tree Commission, and it's just like, what's the exact count of trees?
I believe it's 6.
Because I live really near there, and I think, the kind of foot we're talking about.
Yeah, it's also, it has to do with the diameter breast height. So there's a tree survey.
So Green Acres.
Mhm. Yes, you can.
Speak loudly,
Okay.
get back as
So
Or can I use this?
Um, Green Acres has a requirement of the tree replacement is 6 inches, breast height and above. That's the 6 trees.
Right.
So that's what we have to mitigate for, is that's the requirement of that.
I didn't hear that, that's what.
That's the requirement we have to mitigate for, is the Green Acres 6 inches and above diameter.
Okay, my other question is, what is the height of the poles versus the current height of the poles?
Yeah.
And this I'm not,
Yeah.
I live in the neighborhood, so
Yeah, it'll certainly be available in the next round of renderings. But
I mean, I would think you guys would know that, I mean, you knew it at the Allenhurst meetings.
completely
You've
forgot
known
to
it,
bring that information.
we're at preliminary stages here. Scoping hearing is in advance of all applications.
We had in Allenhurst, which was about a year ago, and JCP&L engineers were there, other people were there who had answered all these questions. It's fair you should bring that information here as well, when you talk to us. Also, what is the size of the bases that the poles go on?
questions, he could answer. And
He's unfortunately ill tonight.
when he got sick and, or, like, I feel really bad because I don't have the answers, and you're right, I should have those answers with me. But he was supposed to be here, and he designed it, he would know all those answers.
Right,
And I'm looking to try to find an answer for you, and I'm failing.
And you would also be able to address the alternatives, from an engineering perspective as well, and the HDD alternative in particular. I mean, we are an area now that has very different extreme weather than we did even 10 years ago. The state of New Jersey had over 13 tornadoes. I was once watching the news, and there was a tornado watch, and my husband and I were in the basement because the local news was saying, yes, a tornado, and we're seeing activity swell up on honest to God, Corley's Avenue in West Allenhurst, right where you're gonna put your poles. It came right down the street. And so I don't know that JCP&L is taking, extreme weather pattern changes into account when looking at what the impacts will be of putting this, and I agree, we need hardening of the electrical infrastructure. I have a fully electric house, induction stoves, heat pumps. I understand that we need to harden and have more resilient electrical infrastructure. But I also know that, you can, it is more expensive, it is more time consuming for residents to have HDD done. However, long-term, it's safer for the infrastructure. The entire city of Miami is putting everything underground. We're a shore community. We get extreme weather, we get tornadoes now, and I really think that, I know as a resident, I would put up with more inconvenience for my traffic patterns to have these buried. I think that when we have the opportunity to put in new infrastructure, we should bury it. We should have buried our lines in New Jersey years ago before it was millions of dollars a mile. And now we have that opportunity. So that's my official comment. I think these should go underground and do the HDD. The risk of frack out is pretty small, especially in this kind of soil. This isn't, we're not building pipelines. And, this is a different kind of infrastructure. We're not doing 3-foot, accommodating a 3-foot pipeline here. These are narrower, the frack out would be less, so that's, I think that JCP&L should reconsider burying these lines. So it
I'm
goes
sorry,
through
you're
the
gonna have
long-term.
to speak.
I think JCP&L should bury the lines for long-term safety and resiliency of the project. And for the beauty, the beauty of the area as well. But we don't know how high they are, and we don't know how big the bases are, so.
This is
Yeah.
also a 34.5 kilovolt transmission line. It's not the wires that go into your house. That's distribution. This is transmission. Okay. I'm just trying to explain that not only would, say we put this under, you're still having your poles going into your house in between.
No, I understand. Actually, my distribution lines I have buried into my
Yeah,
house.
and mine do too.
But no, I understand I understand that these are transmission lines. And I know that you can bury transmission lines that are, a foot in diameter, get buried, they get buried even offshore. So I know you can bury lines. And I just think, I know it's more expensive too. But I do think that, this, to preserve Deal Lake and the beauty of Deal Lake in our community, and for the long-term resiliency and safety of the project, in extreme weather conditions especially, that they should be buried. And that's my comment.
Thank you for your comments. Well, if there's nothing further, that concludes not only tonight's Yes.
I was on the list.
Oh, okay. Could you please state your name for the record?
My name is Earl Jackson. And I live at 503 Laurel, which is like right across the street from
You're
us.
gonna have to speak up or use the mic.
I live at 503 Laurel Avenue, which is across the street from the project. And I would just ask if the materials are available for review, or if this is just your presentation. Like, it'd be good if we could see the materials.
So there aren't official materials at this time. The scoping hearing is just to solicit comments before we sit down and put pen to paper on all of the application materials. So that will be the next step.
Is there any way that it can be made available so that we could prepare comments for the next round?
So there is, with respect to the scoping hearing and tonight's presentation, you have until December 30th to submit written comments if you so choose. The written materials will then be prepared. They'll be submitted to the agency, and then there will be a second public hearing, a more robust public hearing, after you've had the benefit to review all those materials. And there will again be the opportunity to comment both at the hearing and within 14 days from the hearing.
I would ask that what you have presented tonight, you send to the township, and the township can put it on its website so the public can see it.
We'll take that under advisement. Thank you.
I've been to many scoping hearings over the years for utility projects, and generally there are materials available when you attend a scoping hearing. Whether it's a federal scoping hearing from the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission or the BPU. So if you've got these materials, what you've got as an alternatives analysis, you've already done. You should be able to share the alternatives analysis with us so we can look at it as well. Just saying.
Meaning this screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
And your alternatives, and if you have any rationale of why, what your reasoning was on rejecting them, that would be great. Sharing information.
Thank you for your comments. So this concludes tonight's hearing. I thank you all for your attendance. Again, to remind everyone, the public notice is on the front table, and written comments may be submitted until December 30th, as indicated on the public notice.